Hello and welcome to the Downsized. My name is Christopher Durham and you are?
I'm Laraine Durham.
Laraine Durham. And today is the 4th of July, so July 4th, 2025. As you see, we're sitting in our backyard today. We thought, why not? In America, it's all about fireworks, outdoor, grilling, having a great time with your friends, going to festivals, you name it. So today we wanted to come to you, give you some tips around how to survive all of that on a GLP-1. But first, we always have to give you a little bit of the backstory. So medications, weight loss, tell us about Laraine.
I think this is the 90th week of our GLP-1 journey. I started off at 193 pounds on September 29th of 2023, and I've lost over 50 pounds using the GLP-1 medication, Tirzepatide. I'm now in maintenance, been on maintenance for about a year. And Christopher?
So I've lost a little more than 100 pounds, depending on what day I weigh, using Tirzepatide, Zepbound, and Mounjaro. We have been on this journey the whole way together, and it's been great. I mean, we've had our ups and downs, and it's been slow at times, but today we're in maintenance. I think I've been in maintenance 20 weeks now. So going to an event for really anything, but today it's that summer barbecue kind of 4th of July conversation, can be a little anxious, right? You're a little worried. Is there going to be something to eat? Am I going to have side effects? Am I going to gain weight? All those kind of scary things. You've certainly experienced that over the years, right?
Well, yeah. So, I've been on Weight Watchers or some form of some various diet over my past 56 years. I've learned a lot of tips along the way, and I've figured out some of them are applicable to a GLP-1 journey, and some of them just aren't. So today we're going to talk about our best tips for a GLP-1 weight loss focused journey at eating holiday foods.
So my number one tip, and I always start with it, and if you have watched it all, you know what I'm going to say, and it's take your shot.
Right. Today's shot day for us. We're not skipping our shot. We believe that, this is our lifestyle now. This is what it is, right? We plan to be on these medications long term, forever, and so we're not going to go on and off because that just isn't helpful to the way we want to live our lives and the way we want to eat.
Yeah, and honestly, when you skip a shot, it impacts the next really 28
3
days.
weeks, it's like you just mess up the whole month.
Because that half-life is 5 days after you take a shot, but each week you take the shot, it kind of builds on itself. So you're actually going to impact the rest of the month going into it if you skip a shot.
Yeah.
So we do not ever skip our shot if we can help it. We've only done it for medical reasons or we forgot once, but we don't skip our shot.
Right.
What would your next tip be?
In years past, a big Weight Watchers tip would be to eat before you go. Right? If you don't know what's going to be served, or you're worried about overeating, if you're worried you're going to be too hungry, eat your meal before you go. And now I don't like that piece of advice. I don't think that is valid for a GLP-1 journey because we have a very limited appetite, and I don't really ever get that hungry anymore, right? Our food noise has been quieted, our hunger levels have kind of evened out with this GLP-1 medication, and I usually don't arrive anywhere, I don't come up to any meal starving. So also, because of our limited appetites, I only have so much I can eat at a meal, right? So I'd rather have a few bites of things at a fun setting with friends than sit by myself in my kitchen and eat a piece of grilled chicken. Like, that kind of just sucks all the joy out of it, right? So, food is a big part of our life. It's a big part of celebrations, and we have to learn how to work these GLP-1 tips into our life rather than try to keep them separate like I used to try to do with Weight Watchers.
Well, and the goal is life. It's not perfection. Right? Nobody says we have to be perfect every day. It's not a sustainable thing. So really that gets us to tip number 3. And tip number 3, and some of these you're going to have heard before because they're just pretty consistent. They take a grilling barbecue slant because of the time of year, but protein. I mean, eat your protein first. And what I would say is, although certainly in America the traditional proteins are hot dogs, hamburgers, and those sorts of things, they don't have to be. And the grill is your best friend. Turns out when you grill things, whether it's gas, charcoal, open fire, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't add any calories, but it adds a lot of flavor. So, take a look at the grilled chicken, the pork. You can do a great grilled fish. There's a lot of opportunities to expand the proteins that you're eating if you just take a minute and move beyond the hot dogs and hamburgers. Now, we love hamburgers, so I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those things. In moderation, we don't limit anything, right?
Yeah, and I guess if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, you might want to bring maybe something to the event. You can always ask your host or hostess beforehand, what's going to be on the menu, just to make sure you have some vegetarian options. Or if you're just, a picky eater, and maybe greasy foods, might upset your stomach. So, know your options and figure out what works for you.
But there's certainly things you can grill that are vegetarian. So there's plenty of tofus and tempehs and all kinds of things. So take a look. But the grill can be your best friend. It's all just tasty grilled food. Leads us to kind of the next one, which I think often people overlook, is it's summertime and there's a lot of fresh produce out there. You can grill fresh produce as well, or make fresh salads, or do other things. I know you love a good salad, right?
Yeah, so at this time of the year, the produce just looks good. All the fruits are in season. Go for those. Look for the vegetables. Look for the fruit salad. I've seen a lot of recipes on Pinterest making blueberries and strawberries into 4th of July kind of themed things. So there's just a lot of variety in fresh fruits and vegetables at this time of year.
And honestly, you can grill just about any vegetable, so there's certainly a lot of stuff that's in season right now. If you don't have a grilling basket, you can go to Lowe's, Walmart, wherever, and get a grilling basket, and you can actually grill green beans or not. So a little fire-seared green beans, super tasty. If you don't know how to do that stuff, it's super easy. Google it. There's lots of videos out there. But adding all those vitamins and minerals and the fiber to your diet is just going to be helpful. Right?
Yeah.
So that was number 4. I know number 5 is one of your favorite ones.
Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. So, take your, this is not my biggest cup of water, but it's one of the most fun. I got it on a Carnival cruise not too long ago that we went on. But, take a insulated tumbler, fill it with ice and water, maybe some electrolytes, maybe a flavoring packet. And make sure you hydrate before you go, especially if you're going to be outside and it's hot. You're going to need extra water, so make sure you're keeping up with that.
So hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Right. Following up on that would be number 6. It's alcohol. And what exactly do we say about alcohol?
Just moderation. Alcohol is not going to help you get to your goals, right? But I certainly enjoy a glass of wine. But on GLP-1s, that desire for alcohol and that ability to drink a lot of alcohol has certainly been lowered. So, and that's a good thing, right? It's just not. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I don't want to say it's not healthy, but it's not. So, but every once in a while, it's fine, certainly. And, on the 4th of July, people will be out there.
You want a beer.
With a beer or a wine. I want to say a wine cooler. We don't have those anymore.
No.
Trulies, the White Claws, stuff like that. So, I will have maybe 1 or 2, but really that's it. I don't like the feeling that it gives me. It's just not a good, I don't want to feel that way. So I don't
particularly early in your journey, you may have more side effects from certain foods, and alcohol triggers a lot of people's digestive issues. So take it slow in moderation, because you don't want it to come back on you, and whether it be nausea or throwing up, or you don't want to find out the hard way on that.
Yeah, a lot of times, we'll pack drinks to take to a friend's house. I Diet Coke, Diet Ginger Ale. I really have been liking the Poppy,
Mm-hmm.
what are they, probiotic, prebiotic sodas. They have 30 calories. I'm not sponsored by Poppy, but Poppy, if you're watching, call me. But, just take maybe something fun like that in place of a beer or a wine or something like that.
So, I think that's a great call out. We've done so much over the years, and we're in our backyard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've had parties and barbecues and all that. We're actually not going to do that this year in ours, but we're going to go visit some friends. And for me, number 7 is probably the key here. Prioritize the people over the food. Spend time, talk to people, enjoy the company. Things don't always have to rotate around food. And with these GLP-1s kind of taking that food noise away,
Yeah.
all of a sudden it opens it up for bigger conversations and engagement.
Yeah, I've been at parties and events where there's been all this amazing food laid out on a table, or maybe some amazing desserts. I love sweets. I love desserts, and it would be hard to focus on the event, the people, because this food was calling to me from across the room, right? And it doesn't really do that anymore. So, I know that I can have a small piece of whatever I want, and that will be satisfying to me. I don't feel the need to eat, the entire batch of my sister's chocolate chip cookies. I can have one or maybe two, and they won't. I don't hear them calling, and it's such a relief not to be bound by those foods anymore.
For me, it's interesting because, really, my entire life, personality, whatever you'd like to call it, was kind of built around food and cooking and chefs and the whole 9 yards. So on these GLP-1 medications, that doesn't go away, but it distinctly changes. There were years where we did 4th of July parties here, and we're in Charlotte, North Carolina, so it would be a 90 to 100 degrees outside, and I was fire roasting, spit roasting just out here an entire porchetta. So if you don't know what a porchetta is, it's a whole side of pork that's been rolled with actually the skin and the bacon piece that's still on the outside and the loin on the inside with garlic and herbs, and that's a very Italian thing. For hours and hours. It's not a great idea in July in the South, I'll tell you. We had some buddies over roasting. It's just so hot.
We would have it in the back, and it would be so hot because my friend was like, well, what about bugs? Aren't bugs going to you'd be attracted to that? And I watched a fly go toward it, and it was so hot.
The fly turned
around. The fly turned and went the other way. So,
in and of itself, there was really nothing bad about that food, right? It was still a nice roasted meat. It would have been fine. I think the challenge for me was shifting these celebrations from being central about the food to being about the people and the family and the activities. So it's a big learning. And over the years, we've done lots of stuff. We have done a couple of times what they call a low country boil, which if you're not from the low country of South Carolina, that has other names around the country and around the world. But it's basically boiled seafood with some corn, some potatoes, shrimp, sometimes crab legs, sometimes crawfish, that is pretty heavily seasoned, a lot of times with zatarans or a crawfish boil kind of seasoning. So super tasty, pretty low calorie, but it was really about the food at the center. So it's just shifting.
I think you made that camping one.
Oh, I have made that camping. I've made it in the backyard. I have I have a giant boiler that's kind of crazy. And those are still good options. We might still do that again one day, not today. Really, number 8 is getting up and moving around. And I'm not talking about exercise so much. I'm talking about activity that you do at a party like this. So in the U.S., we have this game called cornhole. I don't know what they call it other places, but it's basically
a beanbag toss.
It's a beanbag toss thing. If you got a football, throw that football around. Get out there and do things with people that just stay active and keep you moving.
I bought a Frisbee. I was going to take it on our cruise, and Christopher goes, they're not going to let you take a Frisbee on a cruise ship. I'm like, why not? He's like, 'cause people throw them off the side and they go into the ocean.
They discourage
I'm like,
you throwing things on ship. Get out and do things with people. Play a football game, a basketball game, throw horseshoes.
Yeah.
Do stuff. I think we're actually going to end up going probably over to a friend of ours' house who has a pool. So it'll be a pool party. We'll, be hanging out, eating some grilled foods and doing the pool thing.
Well, and before, when we were heavier, maybe we didn't want to get up and move around because it's hot and we're heavy and we just want to sit and maybe have, eat and drink or whatever. But now that we're a little bit lighter and more active and maybe, feel better in a bathing suit. I mean, I don't feel great in a bathing suit, but I definitely
you look great.
feel thanks. I definitely feel better than I used to, right? So, I mean, it's all about feeling better and being able to do more things and being more active.
Number 9 is just generally I don't know what to call it exactly. Meal planning, perhaps. Particularly in the U.S., a lot of these holiday meals can be very heavy, very fatty, but they don't have to be. So, the mayonnaise-based salads, the fried chicken.
Especially in the South, we
all
have a
these
lot
things.
Of that.
So whether you're cooking it, and I have a tendency to want to cook and want to control things, right? So probably I'll take food over to the neighbor's house. They've had some illness in their family and it'll be easier for them as well. But it lets me control what's going on. So it's kind of a control thing for me. So there'll be no mayonnaise-based salads. It'll be grilled food.
Yeah.
It'll be fresh veg. But kind of, if you're going somewhere else, talk to the host. Can you bring something? Can you help? Make sure there's good options, because there's a lot of tasty ways to make food that don't involve, adding just a lot of calories for no reason, and honestly don't involve packaged goods. Right? It's so easy to show up and have a table full of chips and different things.
Maybe this is another tip under that tip.
Yep.
But you can eat chips anytime, right? Chips are always going to be there. Certain foods they're not special, right? They're not maybe worth your limited amount of bites you can take on a GLP-1. So, look at all the foods and see what's really worth your time, worth your calories, worth your limited number of bites. So, don't just eat something like chips because they're there and you're just kind of mindlessly crunching. Like, really be deliberate in what you choose and make those the best looking things. You don't have to eat everything that's there. You want to only eat the things that look the best to you.
There was a day and age when I was a kid where you would go to one of these things, so a potluck is what we call it in the U.S., whether it be at your church or your neighbor's house or wherever, and people would compete. Generally women back then would compete to bring the best dish, to have the best macaroni and cheese, the best whatever. Unfortunately, I think that day and age has passed. I mean, the last, 5 or 10 years when we've gone to things like this, it's been a lot of chips and salsa, grocery store cookies and brownies.
Tray of maybe a tray of fruit from the grocery store.
Maybe. So very often it's not even great food. I mean, my goal is always to bring the best thing still. Like, I want to bring the thing that people are talking about.
Well, of course.
And honestly, it'd be the tastiest, healthiest. They go, how do I make this?
Yeah.
Make some more.
My mom used to always bring taco salad. That was very trendy and forward.
Was the layered
in 1975. Not even the layered one. She would just do the ground beef with the seasoning and then take her huge Tupperware bowl and mix lettuce and shredded cheese and tomato and the ground beef and then mix that all together and then take the... back then there wasn't a lot of like Tostitos and things. She bought like the old El Paso chips, like the corn
Old
chips.
school.
And she'd crumble them up and mix that, right before serving, crumble those up and mix those all together. And people would rave. This is when we lived in Rogersville, Tennessee in about 1984. So people didn't, there was no Mexican restaurants there
that's
then.
the most uniquely suburban American
Yeah. So here you had the little Southern ladies with their potato salad and their macaroni pie and their peach cobbler, and here comes my mom with taco
It was
salad.
exotic.
Yeah, she was from California, so she knew about the Tex-Mex. So
That's the least authentic thing I can possibly think.
So I don't know what that has to do with I guess potlucks. And also I liked those church potlucks because there were so many kinds of food. Now growing up, my mom wasn't a big cook. That's the taco salad example. But at potlucks there would be like all these different desserts, all these different sides, all these different things I could try. And it just lit as a child. I remember just being, my brain lighting up. And my parents usually, weren't paying that much attention to what I was eating. So I could go through that potluck and just load up on all the foods that we never had at our house. Our house was, we had a lot of whole wheat bread and grape nuts and my dad was a big
fiber fan.
Big health food fan in the 70s, right? So we didn't have any of those things at our house. We did have Captain Crunch cereal. I digress. Anyway,
that's never happened before.
I do love peanut butter Captain Crunch, but anyway, now those foods don't really call to me, or they're not as exciting, I guess, as when I was a child. So, and being on a GLP-1, it just makes it easier to navigate those situations. I don't feel like I have to eat all the things.
All right, so tip number 10. Laraine likes to call these things fun foods, but indulge in moderation. You can have a few bites. If somebody shows up with the best pie, the best brownie, whatever.
Yeah.
Have a little bit, taste it. It's okay. My mother growing up, we would go to the beach. So we would go with my whole extended family to Edisto Island, which is a beach just off the coast of South Carolina. And every year they would make ice cream.
I was going to say the ice cream.
They would make ice cream, like actually make ice cream, in a churn with ice and salt, and it would sit there for, I don't.
You had the electric one or the crank one?
We started with the crank one, and the kids would have to sit there and
turns.
crank it, and it seemed like it took. I'm sure it didn't really, but as a kid, it seemed like it took forever and ever. Then my grandfather bought an electric one, but the ice cream that we made, that my mother always made, was Snickers ice cream. And Snickers ice cream involved a lot of condensed sweetened milk. So a lot of that you can get that all over the world. It might be called something else. And Snickers bars. So Snickers bars are that chocolate caramel peanut nougat kind of thing. And she'd take about half the Snickers bars and melt them and mix them into the. So a lot of condensed milk.
I thought you just chop them up and mix them.
Well, she also did that. About half of them would get melted and flavor the cream.
Oh, wow.
And then about half of them would get chopped and folded in at the end. So it would be 95 degrees.
How do you fold it? Is it like a piece of paper?
Yeah.
Sorry. Schitt's Creek reference. Continue.
It would be 95 degrees and this fresh ice cream would come out. And it's still, to this day, one of the best things I can possibly imagine. But it's okay. On GLP-1s, we could still eat that. Now, I would eat very small amounts because honestly, that much sugar would probably wreak havoc on my stomach, and I don't really need all those calories, but you could do it. Laraine likes to talk about festivals, and this time of year, you get a lot of them. We've been to balloon festivals. We've been to the baseball stadium and seen fireworks, and there is always Lorraine's favorite thing there. What's your favorite thing at a festival, Laraine?
Ice cream?
No, funnel cakes, girl. Come on, how are you missing
cakes. Oh, wow. We haven't had a funnel cake.
In years.
Yeah. Thinking back again to Rogersville, Tennessee, we had a fall festival there. They still have it. It's called Heritage Days. And for a weekend in October, they dress up like pioneers in old-timey clothes. And somehow funnel cakes it used to be like a main staple of the event. And my dad was in the Rotary Club there, and the men's Rotary Club would make the funnel cakes, and they would dress. And I remember my dad wearing like a coonskin cap and like
it was very American
Davy Crockett clothes. And
I would pay to see a picture of your dad in a coonskin cap.
Yeah, I might have one somewhere. And they would make these funnel cakes, and just it. For those of you that don't know what a funnel cake is, it's basically like a donut or fried dough that comes out of they put all the dough in a funnel, and then the dough
Like a
comes
batter
out
more
in
so, yeah.
in a like a stringy circle, and it's fried, and then they put it with powdered sugar, or you can do toppings and stuff like that. I always just like the powdered sugar one the best, but a lot of powdered sugar, like so much that it got all over your face and all over your hands. So yeah, we've seen funnel cakes at like amusement parks and different places. They always remind me of Rogersville, Tennessee, because that's where.
But so you can indeed indulge in moderation. You don't want to feel like you've gone to a celebration, a party, and feel like you were suffering, feel like you denied
Right.
yourself.
Right.
So moderation is okay. We have to learn how to live the rest of our lives. This is not a diet. This is the medical treatment of the disease of obesity.
Right. I still like all those things. Like I still like ice cream. I still, I'm sure I would still like a funnel cake, but I probably just wouldn't be able to eat much of it, right? Because it might not make me feel so good after eating that. Like a really, really something greasy or fried or heavy like that. But I still like, it's not like I'm going to say, oh, I'm never going to eat like that again, and I'm, in this whole new way of eating. No, I still like all that, I want to say junk food. I still like it. It just doesn't call to me like it used to. It doesn't light my brain up like it used to, so I can be satisfied with a couple bites, not the whole thing.
Makes sense. So that's our 10 things. What I would tell you is go have fun, enjoy yourself. And if you eat a little bit more than you were supposed to, you know what you do the next week? You take your shot back to number 1 and you move on.
Yeah.
These work.
Yeah, I mean, most of the days, 80% of the days, we're going to be on our regular eating plan, eating, high protein, fruits and vegetables, some carbs here and there, whatever. But, so if you're eating right 80% of the time, you have room for the occasional treat. And I would say, even if you do go overboard, don't beat yourself up about it. Just get on track at the next meal. And, if you do eat something that makes you feel bad, maybe write it down in your journal or in your notes, and write it down how it made you feel, so that next time maybe you think about eating that food, you can remember how it made you feel afterwards, and is that worth it? Is that going to be worth it for you?
Yeah. So that's our 10 tips for a holiday barbecue. The 4th of July, it happens to be here in the U.S., but wherever you're celebrating, celebrate something.
Celebrate
you.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So happy 4th of July. I hope you have fun with your family and your friends. If you haven't already liked and subscribed,
like and subscribe.
Please do.
Yeah. It doesn't cost anything. Just hit the little button. And that helps YouTube suggest us to other people looking for information on a GLP-1 journey.
Yep. And make sure you join us most Wednesday nights for our live, where we take questions from you, chat just like this with real people using real GLP-1s, and we have conversations.
Yep.
All right. That closes us out, our 10 tips for celebrating a holiday barbecue on GLP-1s. My name is Christopher Durham.
I'm Laraine Durham.
We are the Downsized. We'll see you next time.